Hello there, my name is Lewis Wieland. I publish the Atlanta Community Profiles magazines, and I'm a commercial realtor with KW Commercial. For the last 30 years, the magazines have been distributed under the banner of the First Multiple Listing Service, and that entity is the fourth, I believe, or third largest multiple listing service in the United States and growing. They're adding different cities to collaborate on listings every day practically. They're in coast to coast at this stage with listings from California to Florida. And the magazines are published on my website, atlantacommunityprofiles.com, and are distributed to all the real estate brokerage firms for distribution to people buying homes by their respective realtors. Basically, we have several different editions, one for the metro area, one for East Atlanta, one for North Atlanta, and West Atlanta. So if you would like to get a copy, if you don't have a copy from your realtor, please send me an email, lou@louwieland.com, but most all the realtors in the metro area do have access to the magazines, and they are in the FMLS stores. And they have 4 stores throughout the city where realtors shop and also get equipment for their work, including signs, and also have many classes for education of realtors and for their credits. And basically, every week or so we interview community leaders, and today we're welcoming back Paul Radford, who was on the show last June 24, and welcoming back this year. And we appreciate your time, Paul. It's a pleasure to have you back on the show.
Nice to be here.
The lot has happened since June of 24 at Sugar Hill, and also I see you have recently received another award. But just by way of background, Paul has played a key role in the revitalization of Georgia's downtowns throughout the Georgia Downtown Renaissance Partnership. In 2013, he became the city manager of Sugar Hill, transforming the city center with amenities such as an outdoor amphitheater, restaurants, retail shops, a gymnasium, an indoor theater, an Olympic-sized skating rink. He also continues to support the Georgia Municipal Association and other an active participation in the Legislative Policy Council and the Federal Policy Council. His 50 years of service has left a lasting influence on Georgia's cities, enhancing governance and quality of life statewide. Last year, you were recognized as one of the 4 outstanding local government leaders inducted into the Georgia Municipal Association Hall of Fame last June of 24. And now this year, the Metro Atlanta Redevelopment Summit convened with more than 270 business and community leaders to examine redevelopment projects driving economic growth and job creation throughout the region. And at that conference, Paul was given the distinction of the Redevelopment Champion of the Year for leading Sugar Hill's transformation into a dynamic city destination anchored by the East Center and the Bowl. And we hope to learn a lot more about that, plus all the other things going on down there. And by the way, I got a little ahead of myself. I forgot to mention that just from an overall standpoint, prices for single-family detached homes in the metro area, residential, were up 1%, while closings through October were down 4%. So just wanted to mention that because I know a lot of people are anxious to get those figures, which are hot off the press from First Multiple Listing Service. And so, Paul, I guess the best way to start is just talk a little bit about the e-Center. And last year on the program that we had where you were interviewed, you mentioned that the e-Center, I asked you why it was called the e-Center, and you said, exercise, eat, and be entertained. So I'm excited to hear about how that's developing.
All right. Well, thanks, Lou. The e-Center, as you just pointed out, people always wonder what E stands for, and we get a little bit of whimsical sometimes with our signage in and around downtown, and the signs within the footprint of the e-Center says "Welcome to the center of everything." And so that's what it's entertainment, it's engaging, it's eating, it's entertainment, it's exercise, it's all those things that bring a community together. And so it is the center of everything for our downtown. And it was opened in 2018, matter of fact, and it has become the bedrock of our development in downtown.
Well, it's exciting to watch what's happening there as you drive along I-20. It's sort of like it appears out of nowhere. Everything.
Well, that is the intent. It's Highway 20 was a 2-lane highway. In fact, years ago, Highway 20 was our West Broad Street, which goes right through the heart of our downtown. It was relocated over to where its current location is, and then became a 4-lane, soon to be a 6-lane highway that goes through the center of our community. It opened up in 2013 or 2014 is when they finished it. It now we have 50,000 vehicle trips a day that go through there. In the history of that, just for those who are listening and have any interest in where Sugar Hill is and why Sugar Hill is that back in the late 90s, the outer perimeter was the Northern Arc, or the outer perimeter was a big discussion item under a number of governors. And then, but when Sonny Perdue got elected in 2001, he stopped the outer perimeter. The outer perimeter would have gone right through Sugar Hill, a 6-lane highway that would have come right through Sugar Hill, flown over the Chattahoochee River, and then headed westward. So now it's we're proud to say it's not a highway, but it's a busy place because working with Georgia DOT, we've been able to use some of that property that the state still owns for that highway, which is not going to be built, for our greenway. So we have 5 miles of our greenway that are on that right of way. So Highway 20 is the main east-west connector now. Our city does our downtown comes right up against that. And to your point is that either direction you're coming in from the west or the east, all of a sudden you come upon something that's different that's along that corridor, which is 4 or 5-story buildings, and what you see is activity, and that is our downtown.
It's very exciting to watch, and as long as we're on that topic of the Greenway, or we've alluded to it, what are you're adding mileage to that, right? What could you explain? What's the status of that and the extent of the it where it is now and where you plan to go with it?
Well, it'll end up being about a 16-mile loop around the city. So it starts downtown and it will eventually end back downtown, connecting parks, neighborhoods throughout the community. The first 5 miles are completed and they're very, very popular. We just have another mile that has been built by the private sector. That's north of Highway 20. And we will be connecting that. We're doing it right now. We're installing a greenway pedestrian bridge over a 6-lane highway that will connect the southern part of our greenway that's already constructed to the new mile that's been added by the private sector. And then we plan to add another mile next year in our budget. It's unfortunate that greenways are expensive, especially when you do them right. And we have a lot of boardwalks in ours, and bridges, and those are not inexpensive because we want to take it through as much green space and as we can. So it's now about $1 million a mile to build a greenway.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
When I was in graduate school, it was $1 million a mile to build an interstate.
Yeah, well, I know it's going to be worth it, though. That's extremely valuable to citizens and visitors, and especially, the business community, too. They enjoy being out, and the whole country is really tuning in more and more to health and fitness, I think. Yeah. And I'm sure it'll pay off. It's a good investment. And so I would like to talk about so many things, but one thing that, because I'm an agent with KW Commercial and I'm interested in land, tell us about the land. I see signs for sale and up on Highway 20. Give us an overview of that and what's available and what's the intended purpose, etc.
There is land that's held by the private sector that is on Highway 20 between downtown and the Chattahoochee River, which is our western boundary. We own most of the property that's close to the Chattahoochee River. The city owns that. We own 71 acres south of Highway 20, right on the Chattahoochee, and we own 200 and some acres on the northern part. But our plan is to never develop it. Our plan is to leave it green. We are getting ready to invest in mountain biking and pedestrian trails and hiking trails on the northern half of the property. Then on the southern half, which has an 8,000 square foot house that sits on top of the property that we purchased back in 2014. From the Trust for Public Land. We will plan to use that as an education center. We will have some walking trails. We'll have some nature trails, and on the southern part of that. So it's not going to be developed. We've had numerous housing developers that have come forward, would like to build there. That is not the interest of City Council nor the community. We plan on keeping it green. For the community and the generations that follow. So we're pleased with that. Though we don't have a lot of property for development left in Sugar Hill, except probably on the Highway 20 corridor. We do have a master plan for the Highway 20 corridor from the Chattahoochee to downtown to develop along nodes, not necessarily develop all the way up against commercial along the highway. We want to keep it more as a parkway than a highway, if you know what I mean.
What is the zoning intended for that? Even though the private developers or owners, etc., what kind of zoning are you looking for there? Are you planning to put residential or commercial, or I know you guys are really into tiny houses. We talked about that many times. And multifamily, you got that downtown, and we talked about that. We'll talk about more about that. But what do you think? What are you thinking, Paul? I know you guys are pretty involved in all the decisions like that. From our experience in the past, you guys you're very smart about the way you're developing it and who you're allowing to come in. And so and I appreciate that, and I'm sure that's one of the reasons why you've been widely recognized as for your work there in the city. But tell me, what can you tell realtors that might be riding by there every day, seeing those signs and wondering what to put there?
Yeah, I think there's between median cuts, that's probably the best way to describe it. From downtown, our main street in downtown, there are no signals between there and Swanee Dam Road, which is about 3 miles away. And so there's one commercial node that was constructed along about 2.5 miles up the road. Our plan would be to allow for some commercial development along the median cuts, but then have residential on the other properties that are front Highway 20. And we've got plans on how those housing developments would need to interact with the highway itself, and how those houses would have to interact with pedestrians that want to walk, and bikes. So we have a vision for what we want that corridor to look like, and our zoning reflects that.
So we can see that on your zoning department sites, plans, and
You just go to our planning department. You can find the master plan for Highway 20. There's an overlay for that.
okay.
So it's we are pretty intentional. To your point, is that we oppose all apartment complexes that are not downtown, and because we want apartments that have a purpose. And so we have 1,800 doors of multifamily housing within a 7-minute walk of City Hall. And those apartments were approved intentionally by City Council because they have a purpose. They provide rooftops for our downtown businesses. They bring energy to the community downtown, and but we oppose always any other apartment complex that is proposed that's not part of our downtown, and I don't see any more being built downtown anytime.
You sound pretty firm about that, Paul.
Absolutely, yes.
We've talked about that in the past.
Yes. We understand we've gone from one city hall downtown, and that was it, in 2014, to $750 million worth of private sector development over the last 10 years. So intended by the bedrock of our downtown, which is the East Center in the Bowl, our outdoor concert venue.
Those apartment buildings are very nice. I think I remember talking about that last year, and you said they're pretty much A-class, really upscale apartments, certainly not garden apartments by any means. Tell us a little bit about the quality.
Well, they're all built by some of the best apartment builders in the country. They are, I think, Class A properties. They're getting Class A rents, and they're designed to last. Three of them all have either slip decks or wraparound parking decks. So you take a 300 unit residential development, for example, that was originally done by Twilliger Pappas, that sits right beside City Hall. It has 294 residential units. It has 12,000 square feet of retail that we own. We own the retail. And then it has 650 parking spaces on 4.5 acres. So it is a very productive piece of property. We own 250 of the parking spaces that are in that parking deck as well, because it fronts our bowl. So you can park there and walk. You can pull into the parking deck, find a space, and be in your seat in less than 15 minutes.
The population is almost up to 30,000. I remember it's key. I mean, looking back on it, I've been following the city from when it was 20,000, and now it's almost 30,000. And so there's obviously the reasons for that growth are all the amenities and everything you're doing downtown. I know some of the downtown homes are over like almost $1 million now so it's a really upscale community.
Yeah, we have Kittle Homes that is built 25 attached units within probably a 3-minute walk of City Hall, if that much. Most of them are 4 stories with elevators, with a rooftop experience, with a wet bar, a grill, all that, and then they've got 8 3-story buildings that are interior to the property. And you're right, there's the sales price are anywhere from the upper 8s to mid 900s, and they've been doing well. And they'll have a commercial piece on the corner of Highway 20 that the developer owns as well. A restaurant.
I know last year when we were on, you were talking to an Italian restaurant. How did that ever work out?
No, not we. Since we're in the retail business, I mean, we're in the business of being a landlord. Sometimes you just can't reach a deal on tenant improvements, and we just couldn't get to the right number. But the fact is that it's we're not a private sector entity, so we can be a little bit more patient, because we have the perfect location for an upscale restaurant that the community wants. We could have leased it 10 other times for some other use at this probably a similar rate, but we haven't released it because we want a restaurant there, and we want a certain type of restaurant there, and it'll come. We're not having to chase potential tenants anymore. They're coming to us, which is the best place to be in the marketplace these days. So.
Well, there's so many good things that are happening there that one thing I know that you're particularly proud of is your Veterans Memorial Park, and some of the festivities that you have there are really commendable. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, when we acquired a school across from City Hall years ago, from Gwinnett County School Board, and it's now an apartment complex with mixed use on the first floor. But part of that was where our old Veterans Memorial was, which was an obelisk with a few bricks around it. And so when we sold it, we kept that corner where that old Veterans Memorial was, but we took it down and put it in storage until such time as we could build a new one. And the apartment complex, then our apartment developer built us a new park right across the street from the new Veterans Memorial. It's called Cornerstone Park. It is the cornerstone to our downtown. And the Veterans Memorial, the city invested $1.3 million in building it. It is one of the most Instagram places in our downtown. And it's a great place for people just to reflect. It has an interesting history. We are a natural gas city, so it has an eternal flame. It has moving water that's reflective of life. And then we have at the end, we have a large 7-foot American eagle that is guarding over the Veterans Memorial, and the eagle came from New York City. When I was up there visiting, we knew the shop owner and who had moved to the Plaza Hotel from all places from the village, and he had a picture of it, and so we purchased it. It was from an 1886 mold from France, and it is now sits at the end of our Veterans Memorial, and it is a worthy tribute to those who serve or those who have served. Some gave, many people gave their lives. And we have, right behind it is our historic cemetery that the city owns. And we have graves back there from the American Revolution to the Civil War. And then many servicemen that are men and women that are buried there, and we do decorate it during Memorial Day and Veterans Day with flags. I think we have 150 that are buried there. So,
one of the reasons that you are so successful, too, in my opinion, is all the activities that you offer. I looked over your website, and I see you have a lot of cool events coming up, activities for the holidays. You want to just brief us on some of the interesting and fun things to do there over the holidays?
Yeah, our downtown transforms to a winter wonderland. It's pretty and I know that I'm biased. I'm the city manager, but some people say it looks like Mayberry. Mayberry with 4 or 5-story apartments, but it is. We spend a lot of money in terms of decorating our downtown for the holiday season. Right after Halloween, which it's decorated during Halloween, the transformation starts occurring, and because we want the community to enjoy it for the well before Thanksgiving all the way to New Year's, and then we also have the transformation in October, where we're into September when we close down our splash park, which is right behind City Hall, and we then install our hockey rink, our ice rink, that opened up on November 14th. It'll stay open until mid-February. And last year we got over 25,000 skaters coming in, which is good for the downtown businesses, but it's good for the community. It's a great family thing to do. And then we offer all kinds of family-oriented activities in our theater. And then we have a holiday festival as well. It's an arts and crafts festival that occurs and it's called Our Landing, which is at the end of our outdoor water feature that's at the end of the behind the stage of the bowl. So then we have movies leading up to Christmas in the theater. And so it's a pretty magical place during the holiday season, and we're really proud of that.
I know you're showing the Polar Express at the theater during the holidays.
That would be, I guess, the last thing we'll do. And we're looking to partner with a nonprofit that collects pajamas to give to foster children. And the Polar Express is a classic movie that obviously the principal is in bed and on the train in his pajamas. So we're excited about anything we can do to help raise money or awareness for those who are less fortunate than the rest of us. We're willing to invest in it.
I know some people like to watch that every year. It's kind of a family tradition, but
And we do show it every year.
yeah, I know. I'm sure you have plenty of repeat customers.
Yeah.
Well, again, congratulations on the Redevelopment Champion of the Year for 2025. I appreciate your service, and I'm glad to see that you are being recognized for your contributions to not only the city, but just the metro area and communities throughout the state, really. So thank you very much for coming on the show again, Paul, and for all you do for...
If I could say one thing to end this with, that it's a number I think is pretty remarkable for a community of our size and where we were 10 years ago. And it's because of the vision of our city council that started all this, and for the support of the community, is that our downtown now gets 2.2 million visitors a year downtown. That is a remarkable statistic that that I was surprised to hear. We hired a company to take an analysis of the impact of our events in our downtown venues, and the venues attract a lot of people, but for concerts and those types of things. But those numbers are minimum compared to the return visitors. They come for a concert and they come back again, and that's what we want. We want our city, our downtown, to be busy 7 days a week, and 16 hours a day. So,
And from looking at your growth, I would guess that quite a few of those visitors end up buying a house or an apartment, renting an apartment there, if they're enjoying the events that you provide.
exactly. I mean, we're getting, that's what we tell the community, is that the people who are leasing these apartments downtown are your potential next home buyer. And so it is a good feedstock for the housing community. So.
No, congratulations on all your recognitions and awards and being in the Municipal Association Hall of Fame last year. We appreciate your service, Paul.
Well, thank you, Lou.
Thank you, and have a nice day, and thanks for coming on the show. And I know you're extremely busy looking at those pictures those papers to your left there. I can see you're not standing still.
I live by stacks.
That's good. I can see you're organized. So,
Yeah.
Thank you very much for watching, and Paul, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye now.